All right, so welcome back to the stream. I'm Shango. This is I'm Shango Tech. So I'm actually live on YouTube and I'm live on Facebook. Well, Instagram, sorry. But as I see the title, it's really speaking about the S23 Ultra versus the 14 Pro Max. And Samsung just released their S23 Ultra or the S23s in their Unpack event yesterday. Today's the second, right? Yeah, yesterday. So we are gonna compare a phone that comes out in February versus a phone that comes out last year September or announced. Because I don't think average persons, have the S23 Ultra in their hands as yet. But let's talk about it. The 14 Pro Max versus the S23 Ultra. All right, let's look at these comparisons. So apparently, based on this website that I'm using, Smart Pricks, I think that's what it says, Smart Pricks, they made a comparison and they're saying that the S23 Ultra gets number one, the iPhone gets number two. And I am gonna go through the specs, go through the reason why they could come up with something like that. And you can tell me if you are live on YouTube. I can't put Instagram comments on the screen, but I can definitely put YouTube comments on the screen. If you're following me on Instagram, then I guess you can just comment, and the comment I will see it basically. Let me check something. Hold on. Because I might have to click go live to actually go live on Instagram. I thought it would be automatic like YouTube, but it kinda is not. Yeah, so let's look at the comparison. We are gonna compare them. We are gonna look at what they're saying. Wagwan Saskili. Yeah, so we're gonna be looking at the difference between the iPhone and the Samsung. So let's look at the iPhone versus the Samsung. And as I said, I'm focusing on the 14 Pro Max versus the S23 Ultra. So let's look at this website. They're giving you some details as to what it is. Guys, I'm currently streaming on YouTube and Instagram simultaneously, like a multicast. If you are on YouTube and you comment, I can put it on screen and respond to the comment. Well, I can respond to comments in Instagram just the same, but let's look at the features of the phone and see what this website is saying basically. All right, so this website, based on scores, it says spec score. iPhone, well, the 14 Pro Max gets 76 out of 100, and the S23 Ultra gets 94 out of 100. And let's just dig into the details to see why the S23 is getting a better score than the 14 Pro Max. All right, based on the resolution, it is saying that the S23 has a 1440 times what that 3088 pixels, while the iPhone has 1290 versus 2796 pixels. So it is saying that the screen resolution, display resolution on the S23 is much better than it on the 14 Pro Max. That's what it says. It says the Samsung or the S23 has a less bezel. So it's a 989.5% less bezel. That's what the website says. In terms of RAM, it is 14 Pro Max, 6 gig of RAMs, S23, 12 gig of RAM. So it has more RAM. In terms of storage, 128. And I think this is the base model because the iPhone can go up to 1 terabyte versus 256. And this is what it is saying basically. So I'm just going through it. So after that, we'll talk about other stuff in terms of like what cameras are versus just specs. So we just want to go run through the specs. The S23 3.36 gigahertz. So it's a faster CPU clock speed. Hexa-core versus octa-core, more cores because octa is 8. Rear camera, 48 megapixel versus 200 megapixel quad. They're saying that that's better. We have to see more stuff, pictures and stuff like that from it. Technically, 48 megapixel versus 200 still, it's a better megapixel count. The iPhone is thinner. The Samsung or the S23 has a bigger battery, 5,000 milliamp. The iPhone have Face ID, the S23 have fingerprint sensor, and also reverse charging. So these are some of the features that the phone has, so to speak. Now, in terms of the general stuff, that's general design. We're not going to go into design. Display, we can talk a little bit more about display. So on the iPhone, you have color OLED screen. On the Samsung, you have color dynamic AMOLED 2x, 1 billion colors. Touch the same. The Samsung is a little bit bigger than the iPhone. 6.7 inch on the iPhone, 6.8 on the Samsung. Both of them refresh rate is the same, 120 Hertz. Aspect ratio, the aspect ratio on the Samsung is a little bit better. The PPI, pixel per inch, is a little bit better on the Samsung, which is 500 versus 460. Gorilla Glass, Victus. I don't even remember what the glass on the iPhone called. The iPhone though seems to have a better peak brightness, which is 2000 versus the Samsung 1750. Notch control, connectivity, extra. All right, so let's look at the cameras, because this is where most persons will be talking about when you're talking about the phones. Most times persons will be looking at the camera, especially the camera. And there's a reason why most persons focus on the camera. The camera is a big part of why people get the phone most times. Mind you, software and all of that important too, but I know that the camera is super important in terms of when persons are trying to buy a phone. All right, so let's look at the camera now. So the iPhone camera, 48 megapixel, 1.78 main, 12 megapixel, f2.2 ultra wide, and 12 megapixel f1.8 telephoto with autofocus. Now the Samsung, this is so long. I don't even know why it's so long. 200 megapixel, 24 millimeter, 1/1.3, 0.UM laser autofocus, f1.7 ultra wide. So I'm gonna skip out some of these things because some of these things are just extra things. I'm just gonna talk about the megapixel and the f-stop. So the next camera is 10 megapixel and the f-stop is 4.9, the telephoto. Now there's another 10 megapixel camera with a f2.4 telephoto again. And then there's a 12 megapixel camera with a f2.2 ultra wide with autofocus. So there are a lot of stuff going on in terms of the camera. The cameras on the S23 Ultra is bonkers. They're crazy. Deep Fusion Smart HDR night mode, LiDAR scanner, Apple ProRAW burst mode. On the Samsung now, you have AR Zone, Bixby version, Director's View, food, hyperlapse, night, panoramic, photo portrait, video features, portrait video, pro videos, single take, slow motion, super slow-mo video. Oh, it's crazy. On the iPhone side, you have 4K at 30 and 60 frames per second, UHD, and then you have 1080 at 60 frames per second, FHD. On the Samsung, because the S23 Ultra has 8K video, it starts at 8K, so we have 8K at 30 frames. UHD 4K at 30 frames, UHD 1080p at 30 frames, FHD and 720p at 960 frame HD. So that is just the specification as to the frame rates that it can do, the phone can do and stuff like that. Your front facing camera, which is the punch hole camera, it's on the iPhone, it's a 12 megapixel, which is an f-stop 1.9 with retina flash. I don't even understand. The punch hole 12 megapixel, da da da. So the iPhone actually let in more light on the front camera because we're talking about a 1.9 versus a 2.2. Front video recording 4K. So both of them have 4K on the front video recording. Here we're talking about the technical aspect of the chips and stuff like that. I don't think that is super important. Both of them have the same IP rating, which is IP68, which means the phones are waterproof. You can put it underwater and stuff like that. Yeah, and that basically gives you all the specification. I run through the specs very fast because I never wanted to live in the specs, because at the end of the day, specification on a phone is just that, specification. It gives you an idea of what the phone is, what the phone looks like, what is behind the glass and all that. But it's just specification. At the end of the day, using the phone. So I've been watching a lot of reviews. I've been watching some persons who have the phone. They're talking about the videos. I must say the Samsung S23 Ultra has made an amazing improvement. When you compare it to the S22, it has made some amazing feat. Like, Samsung are not known for their videos, but with the S23 is not necessarily on par with the iPhone, with the Pro Max, but it is getting there based on what I've been seeing in the reviews and stuff like that. The videos are getting there. Mind you, it has the 10x zoom, which the 100x zoom, which is now better, much better than the 100x zoom on the S22. I remember reviewing the S21 and the 100x zoom was a gimmick. But over here, like over a period of time, like you can start something with a gimmick, but if you build on it and the technology gets better, it can move from a gimmick to an actual feature. Now, that is what I'm seeing with the S23. Would I choose an S23 over an iPhone? Nah, not me. Yeah, not where I am at, and in terms of like what I use my phone for and how I use my phone. I am an Apple stan, so to speak. I have a lot of Apple products. I have the iPhone, I have the Mac Studio, I have a MacBook Pro, and sorry, while your phone is just a phone, we also have to speak about the ecosystemness of a phone. You know what I mean? Like, Samsung don't necessarily have an ecosystem. I can't imagine a person having the Galaxy tablet, having a Galaxy book, and having a Galaxy phone. Mind you do have persons like that. But in the majority, persons are in the Apple system. Persons are using multiple iPhone, multiple Apple devices, iPhone, iPad, your AirPods, your HomePods, all of these pods, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's not like a podcast, but persons are using a lot of different Apple products, and almost everybody that I see with a Samsung phone, like if you look at their earbuds, it's not the Samsung bud. But when you see a person with an iPhone and you look at their earbuds, you realize that it's the AirPods. Majority of the time, it's the AirPods Pro, the AirPods 3. It's always the AirPods. So I find it that while Samsung is trying to jump into the market, especially in the United States, while Samsung is trying their best to get into the market, the wall garden that has been created because of the iPhone or any one of the devices them that was your entry point in the wall garden, as MKHB would say. Anyone, whether it be an iPod or whether it be your iPhone. iPhone is the easiest one to get somebody onto the Apple ecosystem. That's actually the hooker. Once you get the iPhone, you're like, oh, I can get an iPad. Oh, you get the AirPods because you want to listen to it, and you get all of these devices, and then you're locked in. Like myself, it's what I mean. I'm so locked in right now. I can't see myself buying a Samsung phone, but this phone, the S23 Ultra, is an impressing feat. Like they have done some stuff. Samsung has done some stuff with this phone. I don't want to talk about the S21 and the S22 because the S21 was one heap of gimmicks. The S22, they still had some issues, so to speak, especially in the video era. But the S23 is much better in this regard. I was watching a video just now and they're showing the night videos. And to me, from my eyes, and based on what I'm seeing, the S23 looks much better in the night than the iPhone. Mind you, it's kind of subjective because there's some areas that the iPhone kind of look better. But the S23 for me looks much better than the iPhone when it comes to certain things. But yeah, like that's my take on the S23 versus the 14 Pro Max. And these phone minus sometimes we try and do all these comparisons and all of these things with these phones, and is it warranted? That is one of the things. Can we really compare a phone that came out in September, which this new phone comes out 5 months later? And I guess it's just the cycle that person's. Yeah, not to mention that, like somebody's commenting on Instagram, Apple is excellent for data protection. At least that's what I heard. Your thoughts on it? So, most persons prefer Apple when it comes to data protection. Most persons would prefer to have an iPhone versus any other phone, even the Google phone, which, and Google, when it comes to data, Google is data, but most persons prefer iPhone over any other phone when it comes to data protection. And Apple actually pushed that. Apple always talking about how they protect your data, how they, do all of these things, data protection. They recently now ask you to opt in. Yeah. Bless up yourself, Flight Green. Let me put this comment on the screen. Oh, hold on. Yeah, hold on. I never update this. Yeah, kind of plays weird on this though. Yeah, so it's it's one of those things where the S23 versus, no, I can't put it there, so for that it have to be above here. The it really comes down to what you want in a phone and what how you use your phone. But most people consider the iPhone or the iOS ecosystem much more, what I call it now. It's a wall garden. So the wall garden has its good and bad. While protection is great in the wall garden, there's certain things like I'll be talking to persons and they're saying, "What, I cannot download this on my iPhone and I cannot do this on my iPhone and I cannot do that." And if it was an Android, I probably could do this or I probably could do that. And I'm like, yes, the majority of the stuff them you cannot do, but there are apps that you can put on your iPhone that you can use to do certain things. So I have an app on my iPhone named Documents, which I use to download, like if I want to get an audio from a YouTube video, I would download it into Documents, and then from there I can play it natively on the phone. So it just depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it. Everybody has different, what I call now, ways of going about doing things. The thing is that I agree that on Android phones it's much easier to do certain things, especially stuff like that. On iPhones, you tend to have to pay for everything. The average person, the person who don't understand technology, tend to have to pay for everything. But for the person who understand technology, there are also ways you can go around and find, the stuff that you need. But my conclusion is that Samsung, they are doing great. Apple, still doing great. The S23 is a great phone. And if you are, a person who into Android, I recommend such a phone. But for me, I'm iPhone all day, every day. You know what I mean? iPhone all day, every day. So yeah, and based on the comparison, this website is saying the S23 is a better phone. This website clearly is saying the S23 is a better phone. Hands down. 94, so 6 points off the S23, and literally 24 points. Yeah, 24 points off the iPhone. Yeah, you can download music without an app on iPhone. You can, but I mean, not everybody really understand. I mean, the general persons just want to go in like Spotify or Apple Music and listen music. Not everybody really use their phone like that, but for the most part, it is what it is. Um, uh, every day. What is every day? What every day? I don't know. I don't understand. We're saying the Samsung S23 is better than the iPhone every day. There are errors in the iPhone. There are errors. Um, there are errors on the iPhone which, you know, ecosystem wise. Mind, we always have to go back to ecosystem because that is important. Your phone connects seamlessly to your computer. You get your message on your phone, on your computer. You get a call, it comes through your computer and all these things. And to me, these things are important. Oh, you're an iPhone person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I am an iPhone person, so for me, iPhone every day because of these little trappings, so to speak. No matter how many iPhones you have, if you're getting a certain call, the call rings all the iPhone, it rings my computer, it rings my laptop. So I can pick up this call almost anywhere. If you have HomePods in your house, it probably ring on it too. If you have, so um so this person is asking if I'm a Samsung user and an iPhone user. I am a iPhone user, mainly iPhone user, but I have used a Samsung phone before, not for my main phone. I got it from actual Samsung while I was in Jamaica, and I did a review on it. But I am not really a Samsung user, so to speak. Okay, he's saying he get all his notification on his desktop just the same. You're talking with your Samsung phone, right? So what are you using to get these notification? What are you using to get these notification? Somebody on Instagram is saying the iPhone functionality ecosystem, user friendly, built strong, last long. And then a next person, which is ZesPI, you like the ecosystem on Apple. I like Android, easier to break into when I forgot my password. On iPhone, you really forget your password because your password is tied into your Apple ID. So you rarely forget your password, so to speak. Okay, cool. How do you do that with your Android phone? How do you do that with your Samsung phone? Is there an app that you put on your computer that allows you to do that? I think Microsoft recently come out with an app that allow you to get your iMessage on a Windows computer. I don't remember the app name, but I've heard about it. Um, yeah, but as I say, I'm an Apple user. We have iPhone and we have iPhone. You know what I mean, multiple iPhones. Um, and we have laptop. I don't think I can see my laptop from here. And then right to the left, I'm actually streaming from my Mac Studio. So I'm an Apple user. I'm stuck in the Apple system, like literally stuck in the system. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna wrap up this stream. I think I'm gonna wrap up this stream. I can't even why I can't tell how many persons are watching on YouTube. I can see that on Instagram, like 5 persons are watching, but I can't see. Well, maybe I can. Oh, 3 concurrent viewers. Mean that these persons are actually there. One like, or Windows has it built in. So Windows have an app that allows you to use any Android phone. It's called Linked to Windows. Okay. I never know that. You see, I'm not really a Windows user, so I don't know. So he's saying that the app is called um, Linked to Windows. So you just link your Samsung phone or your Android phone to Windows. Cool, 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 cool. That's nice. But this is my new streaming setup. Like I am trying to stream both on Instagram and on YouTube so I can make it more interactive because that's one of the things with the stream. I want it to be interactive. I want not only my ideas but other persons give me their insights on what I'm talking about, especially on the tech channel. I'm working on the next channel, which that one, if I'm getting in, I might. I'm working on another channel, not about tech. But yeah, how long we are streaming now? We're streaming for 28 minutes. I'm gonna cut it on the half an hour, which is 30 minutes. So I have like 1 minute left. If there's any question or if you want to shout out or anything like that, let's do it now before I get off. So I see a couple persons come in, couple persons come out. But the iPhone for me is still the better phone. And I am looking at the phone holistically, not just the specs of the phone. I'm looking at the phone holistically. Some person will look just at the specs, but we're talking about the package, what you get with the phone, so to speak, not just the the phone itself. Because if we were to do that with phones, you have other phones out there which falls into even better category, even some Huawei, you know, even some Sony phone, even though Sony phones don't sell well, but some of these phones have better recognition than these people. Thank you very much for your insight and ideas. Zesp. Bless up yourself, Zesp. Thanks for commenting. Maybe next time I can join you on YouTube. It's the same name, Amishango. with tech behind it. If you join me on YouTube, you can put your comments on the screen like I was doing with Andre. But everybody bless upon yourself. I'm gonna end the stream now, so I see you guys in the next one. Bless up yourself.